Changing.
Hello.
Constant evolution.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another one of our epic episodes of our Thursday night Facebook Live. Hello,
Denise from Arizona.
Hello, Denise. We are coming to you from freezing cold Florida.
Unbelievable.
So, over the weekend, the pipes and everything froze.
It was the first day was, and then we got, we filled trash cans and put them in the heated room and had water for the night. But that first morning, surprise.
Because basically what happened is that the automatic waters, everything froze.
But the wells were frozen.
Yeah, and the wells were frozen. We tried to leave water running, but it didn't work. So the horses had no water in the barn. So we came up to the house and we were filling buckets at the house.
Until that ran out.
Apparently we were just...
Because that well was frozen.
Yeah, we were just using what was in the water tank or the hot water tank or whatever.
Yeah, 30 gallons of water.
And so then everything was frozen over. And then luckily Chris's husband came with a blowtorch and defrosted the wells enough to make the wells work. But it has been freezing cold. We never expected moving to Florida that everything would freeze. And I know it's not that cold. I know a lot of you have had a lot more cold than we have had, but nothing here is designed for the cold. Because when I grew up in Colorado, the spigots would siphon the water back into the ground so that they wouldn't freeze. We don't have that here in Florida. It's not designed for it. And here's the other thing.
How is Alberta? How is Alberta night? It's cold. That's like the frozen north, Alberta.
So here's the other thing. Poor Herman has never had to break ice for the horses before in his life. Who here, let me know in the chat, who here has experienced having to break ice so that the horses could drink? So Herman goes down and feeds the horses. And he comes back and I was like, how are the horses? Good, fine. Do they have water? No, it's frozen. I was like, did you break the water so they could drink?
There was no breaking it.
He was like,
the buckets were frozen solid. It was just a big ice cube.
But the buckets had water. There was only that much ice. And you broke it and then they had water underneath.
A couple of them. But the water feeders were done.
Anyways, Herman has never had to break ice for horses. So He learned a new skill. All right, enough small talk because we have some education for you on this evening. I asked Herman to select a reading for us tonight before we dive into your questions and before we talk about Mick. So we're going to put Herman on the spot. And what reading have you selected for us tonight?
From the British Horse Society, The Theory of the Age.
Ooh.
So, bear with me. Age are the language of horsemanship, and like all languages have a basic structure, but it is emphasis and timing which lend them expression and refinement. It is essential that anyone who wishes to ride well should understand the use, the reason for, and the effect of the aids before he tries to teach them to his horse. So obviously this is a little dated. We don't just say his anymore, but bear with me. The horse must be taught stage by stage with complete clarity until the rapport between rider and horse is built up to such a level that it appears that the rider has but to think for the horse to obey willingly. This is the essence of true horsemanship. A trainer who can combine intelligence with mental and physical control and coordination can produce a highly trained, alert, and happy horse, working with ease and with complete confidence in the rider.
Okay, what does that mean? Reader's Digest version.
You got to know what you're doing so that you can teach it to the horse. And then it looks like it's just seamless communication.
You have to be clear. You have to be consistent. I like this, combine intelligence with mental and physical control.
And coordination, because your body it's a lot going on.
It's mental and physical.
Yes.
That's why riding is so hard. And it's important that you remember to use your brain and to use your body. What else did I like in there? Oh, I think the other thing that's important in there is the timing of the aids. And that's, again, something that's hard to figure out, but it's like, when do you use your leg? When do you use your rein? In what order? In what timing? Which is super interesting. Okay, continue.
An aid is the signal or means by which a rider conveys his wishes to his horse. It refers to any action by the rider which results in physical or mental communication between him and his horse. And so then it says the natural aids, which, funny, that question right there about clucking. The natural aids, the rider's voice, that would be clucking. Natural aids, the rider's voice, legs, seat, and hands. The artificial aids, whip, spur, in any form or strap, which control the position of the horse, the standing or running martingale, side rein, something like that. So then, the voice. The voice, by its tone, can encourage, correct, soothe, or reward. It is also used to give commands, particularly on the lunge and with a young horse when it's first ridden. The horse learns that sharp, quick commands, walk on, trot, canter, mean go forward, and lone, drawn out, whoa, walk, trot, to reduce the pace.
That's interesting. I mean, horses do really listen. Let us know in the chat how many of you talk to your horse, but you're not actually allowed to use your voice in a test, which I think is interesting.
Well, because it's easier with your voice.
I will say, though, I think that there's a balance, because have you ever been around someone that's like constantly talking to their horse, like really loudly and annoyingly?
And then the horse just shuts that out. It's the airplanes at the airport.
Yeah.
The horse doesn't hear it anymore.
So your voice, if you're using it as an aid, like any aid, you don't want to use it all the time. But you do want to use it at those important moments. And tone is really important. And I do think, like, okay, you shouldn't use your voice in the test, but you can like very quietly whisper to your horse a little bit.
It's only a -2 if they hear you. They got to hear you. Yeah. Okay, so then the legs, seat, and hands. Although they are discussed separately, the legs, seat, and hands are always used in conjunction with one another. So the major function of the legs: to create forward movement, to activate the hindquarters, to indicate direction and to control the position of the horse, to move the horse laterally. So there's the identical use of the legs. The effect of using both legs by the girth is to encourage the horse to move forward. When first handled, any horse will react to human contact by withdrawing from it, as his flight is his natural defense. So when first mounted and feeling the legs of the rider enclosing his rib cage, the reaction is to move forward away from the pressure. This is the basis of all training, as developed and refined by constant repetition, until the slightest pressure with the inside of the rider's leg will result in the horse moving forward. That would be your ARR.
Aid, reaction, release, repeat. Yes.
Now, after you have the identical use of the legs, you have individual use of the legs.
There's lots of different things that you can do with your legs, which is where it's complicated.
Well, that's right.
And it's also hard because not only are you sitting, balancing, moving with your horse, but now you have to be able to actually use your legs. And then now you have to be able to use just one leg and not the other leg.
Which later gets to why the seat is so important. Well, the independent seat. So individual use of the legs. Once this reaction of moving, and remember, it's a reaction, not a response. Okay, sorry, we're going to nip that question in the bud. It is a reaction. Once this reaction of moving forward is established, the application of either of the rider's legs by the girth will encourage the horse to move forward, the hind leg forward on that side. Since it will also be instinctive for the horse to try to evade the pressure on the ribs, it will also tend to bring the leg forward and slightly under the weight of the body, preparatory to turning the hindquarters away from the point of stimulus. This effect is used to move the horse laterally, but if it is not desired and the horse is required simply to turn a corner, then the rider prevents the hindquarters falling out by placing his other leg slightly further behind the girth. Hence, while both legs cause the horse to go forward, the rider's inside leg by the girth accentuates the forward movement, while the outside leg, slightly behind the girth, controls the hindquarters.
Do you want to break that down in layman's terms for them?
Once the horse understands the first thing about close my legs, go, then you're going to get it more sophisticated. So when we start talking about bend around the inside leg and the outside leg back, guarding the haunches, the prerequisite is that the horse already goes forward from both legs.
And then it's like figuring out that balance of kind
How
of
much?
how to shape your horse and how to be able to use your legs independently, and where your inside leg is getting your horse to bend, right, and to go forward, and then your outside aids are there to help with the turning. But that's the balance of it. And it's also important when you think about bending your horse with your leg aids, that your legs aren't on all the time. That's always important with your leg aids, that they have an effect. And it's so important. I've been riding a few new horses here in Florida. Your horse has to react to your leg. If you kick your horse, they have to like jump forward. And if you don't have that forward,
You can't ride them.
even if it's messy, like
Right.
you're better to have a reaction than to have no reaction. So even if your horse like puts their head up or goes a little crooked, or if it's not exactly what you wanted, you have to get a reaction. And then you can start refining it like this, where you're like, okay, I want to shape you, but you just have to get a reaction first.
That's what he says. So, response to the leg aid. The lower legs must always remain in quiet, soft contact with the horse's sides. When a particular signal is required, the legs are used with a vibrant changing pressure, not a constant squeeze.
Could you demonstrate a vibrant changing pressure?
So you're
Please.
here, trot, 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 and you're back to whatever you were doing. Follow, 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 go. Follow, 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 go. You got to break the timing.
A vibrant changing pressure. I
Yes.
like that. Okay.
Well, we call it, what do we do? The machine gun leg?
Yeah, or flutter
The
kicks.
flutter kicks, same
Yeah.
thing. Okay, and not a constant squeeze. They should be applied as lightly as possible and only when required. As repeated heavy thumping with the legs, heels, or spurs will cause the horse to become dead to the leg.
Anyone guilty of that? Nagging, causing your horse to become dull to the leg? I think we all are. I will say I'm guilty of that. I'm working on that with Kensington right now. Trying to help him too much.
Yeah, and I got my legs too far back, but I'm really working on keeping my legs forward and still, and my hands in my Kleenex box. Okay.
Next.
A horse which reacts to leg aids by drawing back is said to be behind the leg. And a horse that goes freely forward at the slightest indication from the rider's leg is said to be in front of the leg. So then we move on to the seat, which includes your weight. Your weight is really a big aid. So the major influences from your seat are the impulsion, the outline, and the direction. And the reason that it says impulsion is because you already have the reaction from the lower leg driving your horse forward. You're not going to create that with your seat, okay? Your seat can help it, it can influence it, but your legs create. So, use of seat and weight aids. The seat aids can be used beneficially only if the rider can sit correctly, softly, and quietly with the weight equal on both seat bones. He must allow the horse to remain supple and to swing his back. The novice rider should concentrate on using his seat only insofar as he allows the horse's movement to go through. For example, he allows the horse's back muscles to operate freely so that the actions of the hindquarters and forehand are coordinated and not separated by a stiff back.
That's really important, is that your seat can very easily block your horse. So if you're bouncing or if you're stiff in your back, you get the reaction from your leg, but then if your seat isn't allowing that to come through, it's uncomfortable for your horse. Like their back is very sensitive and they don't like it. It's uncomfortable if you're bouncing on it. So that's why you're developing your seat is super important. And that's why I always say, you know, if you're bouncing, post the trot for a little bit. I'd rather have you do posting trot than be bouncing on your horse.
So the rider should not shift heavily and stiffly, which would suppress the movement through the horse's back and make the outline hollow. You'd end up looking like a hammock. A rider can start to use the seat aids when he can feel the actions of the hind legs and his seat is independent enough to be able to apply an aid without setting up undesired changes of movements elsewhere in the body.
Your seat is definitely the trickiest part of your position. And notice though how you don't give a lot of aids with your seat per se. I mean, you can use your weight a little bit. Does it go into how to use your weight?
A little bit down here.
Okay.
So when it talks about the straight line, so you can lighten the weight of the seat bones and allow the horse's back to come up. It also allows the horse's back muscles to swing by sitting passively with supple hips. You can adjust the rhythm in conjunction with the back and the lower leg to engage the hindquarters and bring the hind legs more underneath. And then on straight lines, the rider's weight must be absolutely central. On turn circles, lateral work, and in the canter, the weight is brought slightly to the inside by turning the body in the direction of the movement and putting more weight on the inside stirrup. So there was a question there, and I'll repeat what he says about what it is to be behind or in front of the leg. A horse which reacts to leg aids by drawing back is
drawing back means they mean that if you put your leg on your horse sucks
back,
or slows down,
yeah, you feel
or backs up, or like sometimes they'll like push their ribs out against
there'll
your
be
leg.
an emptiness in your hand. They're not pushing into the bridle.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean by behind the leg. And a horse that goes freely forward, when you close your leg, it goes and you feel that in your hand. So what it says here is, as a horse that goes freely forward, the slightest indication from the rider's leg is said to be in front of the leg. So that is the theory of the aids from the British Horse Society Manual.
Why didn't they say anything about the rein aids? That's weird. Like all they talked about was leg and seat. There's nothing about the reins.
That's true.
Interesting. I guess it's because
maybe USDF just didn't publish that part.
I don't know. That's weird, but it's interesting. I mean, I think that we all tend to overuse our reins and do way too much with our reins. So maybe they're making a point. It's just getting you to think about your leg and your seat and kind of ignoring your reins and getting you to think about what you could do with your legs and your seat. But anyways, let's see. Susan has a question. Is using the weight of your seat part of what is called stirrup stepping?
I've not heard that term.
I think stirrup stepping is like where you step a little bit left and right. I don't do that a lot. I
don't know that one.
Yeah, because it kind of like puts you a little bit off center. So I don't do a lot of stirrup stepping. Kim's asking more weight on the inside stirrup on the bend. How about more weight on the inside seat bone? So yes, when you put more weight on your inside stirrup, it will weight your inside seat bone more. Like those two things go
hand in hand. You're not going to put weight in your stirrup and not have it come in your seat.
So give us a thumbs up. Did you enjoy Herman's reading?
Our literature study for the evening?
Let us know if you'd like us to do that again. Maybe that should be like every other week or something. Next, we're going to talk about our weekly video, and we have a few questions from our Stride students. So this week's video was a Mick series. It was actually from when I was still in California, and I showed like a ride with Mick. I kind of showed like what I do in the warm up, and then the transition work that I do. And I think he's coming along, which is really exciting. I've had him since the spring, and it takes a while to get to know a horse, but he's finally like getting stronger and straighter. And you helped me with him the other day.
Yeah, he's getting so much more through and not so defensive. He was when you wanted to set him up and put him somewhere, he goes, no. And he had an opinion. He was stuck.
Yeah. So let's see. The first question is from Samantha. She says, I find it difficult to make a plan and stick with it while concentrating on my own corrections. I'd like suggestions or exercises to be able to work on keeping my shoulders back and quiet hands out of the saddle. I would also like some examples of how to create a plan for riding for a novice and green horse. Okay, those are two very different things. Thoughts about a plan? It's a hard one.
Especially for a beginner horse and a novice horse. I mean, like a novice and an advanced horse, I mean, that's more in the ballpark. But a beginning horse and a novice horse, that's not even in the same universe.
I think with all horses that you have to have a plan, and then you have to be willing to adjust your plan based on what happens, because it rarely goes according to plan. But if you have a green horse, I would definitely recommend groundwork first. That is like must. You must do groundwork first with a green horse, because that way you can get to know, like, how's your horse feeling on that day? What's going on? Are they paying attention? So groundwork exercises is a must. And then with all horses, I think finding kind of a warm-up routine that you follow every day that's the same is super helpful.
So you have a plan. Say you're going to take your novice horse, you're going to go make 3 20-meter circles in both directions at both gates. You have that plan. You go into the arena, and then your horse will tell you whether or not you can do that plan. If the answer is yes, stick with your plan. If not, oh God, he's too tense, I can't get straight, stay on the circle. You have to start with a plan, but then based on new information, you might need to change the plan.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. And I always tell you guys that, like, for example, the snowman exercise, which is like everyone's favorite exercise. Let me know if you love the snowman.
But that 10-meter circle is challenging.
Well, and the other thing is that within the snowman, for example, you need to be able to adapt to the pattern. So like the snowman, classically, it's one canter circle, then one trot circle, 10 meters, one canter circle, one trot circle. But if your horse starts anticipating, you might need to trot 2 or 3 10-meter circles, or maybe you just trot the pattern for a while. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll canter for 3 or 4 circles, or I'll go once large around the arena if my horse is behind the leg. So you always want to give yourself permission to have like a plan or an exercise, but then you need to adapt and change that based on what you're feeling and what's happening.
Right, because if it's not going wrong, you keep doing it not well, then the horse is going to get really good at not doing it well.
Yes. Jen is asking, I get overwhelmed with where to start. What happens if you're not sure how to achieve your goal? How do you break it down the steps?
So let's say your goal is to do a shoulder in. Okay? And you go to do the shoulder in and you find out that you can't get the shoulder off the wall and all you have is a neck in. Well, you can go to trot walk transitions and help the collection. You can get to the leg yield and work on more obedience to that leg. So
you can do 10-meter circles.
You can do 10-meter circles and get better bend. So you think, okay, shoulder in, okay, I'm losing this thing, so I'm going to go and do a more simple exercise, get that more refined, and then go back and do the harder one.
And then the question, I get overwhelmed with where to start. I think it's really important to understand the training scale, and that's something that we have a whole course about, but I teach a lot. So the training scale gives you a framework and it helps you understand where to start. And the base of the training scale is rhythm. So if you don't know where to start, you want to start with rhythm. You want to get on, you want to start counting and feeling the walk rhythm. Get that rhythm active and consistent. Then work on the trot, counting the trot rhythm, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's another great way. And then I know, Jen, you're in Stride, so I would definitely recommend listening to the Ride Along podcast, because those are great. Like, they give you that structure, they give you kind of that plan. And there's nothing wrong with working on the basics. It's been interesting here in Florida because I have some new clients here, and I don't think that they worked a lot on the basics. They mainly worked on test movements. And it's so important to just work on the basics, work on the rhythm, work on the transitions, work on the suppleness. You don't always need to be doing movements with your horse.
Right. The basics are going to make those movements better.
Okay, Cindy has a question. Could you talk about using whips? My laid back horse needs auxiliary aids. Sometimes I use a whip, I get a nice response, sometimes not so nice. I'm also thinking timing is related. Yes. When asking for more impulsion in the canter.
The big thing when I get a resistance when I use the whip is because I'm blocking with my hands. You have to give them an out. They've got to be able to go. They have to be able to choose the right thing. So this is my thought on that.
Yeah. The other thing that I do sometimes with horses that are super dull to the whip, I call this my whip resensitizing exercise, is I just go on the buckle at the walk. And then I start with the whip with like a little tickle, because horses can feel a fly. So they should be able to feel when your whip tickles them. You shouldn't have to like smack your horse where the trainer can hear you on the other end of the arena. So you want to think about your whip escalating the aid and using different levels of the whip, instead of, a lot of people just have one
crack,
which isn't good.
I like the shushy.
Yes, but so you're going to go at the walk, you're going to start, and you're just going to go like tickle, tickle, tap, and you're just going to tap, 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 tap until your horse trots. And the second your horse trots, you're going to stop with the whip. And you don't have any contact. The reins, like, you're not blocking your horse with the reins. Then you bring your horse back to the walk. Then you start again with this little light, like you start like a little fly, like wakey, wakey. And then you escalate, tap, 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 till they trot. And then you take it away. Eventually, when you do your little tickle, your horse will trot off, and you pet him and you say, good boy. And then it works. Like, it totally works. It's a great way, because sometimes we dull in our horses. It's our fault. If our horse isn't responding to the whip, it's our fault, because we've accidentally tapped and pulled, or we haven't escalated the aid correctly.
Yes.
Yes, agreed. Okay, I think there were a few questions.
There was one about the stirrup length, which was really earlier, and I don't remember.
Question, I think I see you riding using different stirrup length with different horses. What is the perfect length?
Between your ankle and your heel
is the correct length.
And it varies, because some horses are rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Some are taller from wither to bottom of the belly. And so they'll take up your leg different. And that's why you'll be changing that stirrup length, because of the shape of the horse.
Yeah.
Your leg's going to hang differently. Everybody knows the Thulwell pony, right? Little girl with the feet sticking out. Cutest thing ever. But anyway, that's the thing. The horse's body will change how your leg hangs. And so you have to adjust the stirrups for that.
Yeah. We were doing a saddle fitting session today, and we put the saddle on a big round horse. And then we put the same saddle on a horse that was a bit narrower, and I had to shorten my stirrups because the horse was smaller. It didn't take my leg up. So that is something important to consider. And then Judy's asking, what do you do with a horse who grabs the rein and holds on when leading and doing groundwork?
Turn on the forehand, get that head down, and he will let go. Yeah.
And I would say try to, you kind of see your horse go for the rein. You got to take it away from them before they get it. You need
timing's everything.
Right. That's such a thing for horsemanship.
It's the sixth sense. You have to be aware.
Proactive.
watch your horse, know what he's thinking.
Fix it before it happens.
Right. And that's the timing thing.
Yes. All right.
Which, on that note, I've made better turns with my horse because, yes.
Good job.
Yeah.
We're learning to turn here.
I'm learning how to ride my horse. It's very fun.
Alrighty, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Next week, actually, I think we're doing like a little Valentine's Day weekend series. We're going to be doing some extra lives, and my team has planned some Love of the Horse event for next weekend. So stay tuned.
Because who doesn't love their horse?
Yeah, exactly. So stay tuned for that. And thank you all for being here. We hope that you are enjoying your horses. We hope that you enjoy our Thursday Night Live entertainment, and we'll see you next week. Bye.